here with you also in this digital way. In this webinar today, we speak about Italian culture, but we wanted to create a different type of webinar, not so academic. So we decided to involve several speakers to give you different point of view of our culture. At the beginning, I had the pleasure to introduce you Anna De Biasi from University of Padua that give you a first introduction of the project. And this is the first webinar of Arqus, so it is important to listen what Anna has to say. So I give you the floor.
Okay, so good morning to everyone and welcome to this webinar. I will give you a very short presentation. I won't keep you long, just to show you what our university is and just a short overview of the Arqus project. I am the head of the special unit of structural funds and special projects of the valorization office here at the university. And the same office also has a technology transfer unit, so that's why we also knew the incubators, StatCube, from where Julia is. So I won't keep you long, and let's start with this short overview. Okay, here we are. Our university is one of the most ancient university in the world. It was founded in 1222. It's a multidisciplinary university, which means we have almost all fields of culture that goes from pharmacy, medicine, chemistry, physics, mathematics, humanities, languages, psychology, sociology, agriculture, veterinary studies, more or less everything. As you see, these are two famous rooms of the university. The bottom one is the cathedral, that is the desk from where Galileo Galilei taught. And the other is the main meeting room. There I've just written down the names of some of our most famous students or visitors of the university. As you see, they come from different nations and some of them are quite famous. These are the situation nowadays. We have 43 research and service centers, 14 halls, 16 canteens, 32 departments, 1 university hospital, 1 veterinary hospital, an experimental farm, which is about 10 kilometers from Padua and is connected by buses on a regular schedule. Then we have a school of excellence, a museum, library center, a language center, and then we will see in detail some of the most famous ones. Our budget, we have 1,400 PhD candidates, 61,000 students, 2,000 professors, 2,000 administrative and technician staff. And here, the University of Padua, like most ancient university in Europe, doesn't have a campus, not a regular one. So we are more or less spread throughout the city, usually using old buildings and in that way maintaining them in their beauty and usability. But we also have some new buildings. The largest one is the agricultural campus that you can see on the right. It's just outside Padua, of course, and it has the veterinary school and the agricultural school. Then I think this is famous enough. It's the Botanical Garden that was created in 1545. It's the oldest existing botanical garden in the world. And recently, a new part has been added, which is the lower one, of course, with interactive tools and possibilities, of course, have been added. Then we have a hospital, which is also a teaching hospital, and it dates back to the 19th century, the oldest one, of course. Then during the 20th century, new parts have been added because, of course, it was too small. And nowadays, a new one will be built just in the outskirts of the city. It is considered one of the best 10 hospitals in Italy, according to Newsweek of this year. Then we have an astronomical observatory. The old one, it's here in Padua. It was built in 1242, and it was actually part of a castle. Only later it was used as an astronomical observatory. Of course, in the center of the city is not a good place for astronomical observations. So a new one has been built in Asiago, which is a highland, more or less 90 kilometers from Padua, and there they have a telescope, of course, and more modern instruments. And now we go to the Arqus project itself. It's a thematic consortium selected by the European Commission and funded by the European Commission within the European program European Universities. Brings together 7 universities: Granada, Padua, Bergen, Graz, Leipzig, Lyon, and Vilnius. Sorry for the pronunciation of the foreign languages. The Arqus project focuses on, of course, the management of the project, widening access, inclusion, and diversity. Then there is a student-centered framework for quality learning, a multilingual and multicultural university. And then this is our action line, entrepreneurial university and regional engagement. Then there is a research support and engaged European citizens, and of course, dissemination. These are the work packages or action lines, as we prefer to call them, just to give you an idea of what the project is and what it entails. So going to our specific action line, the aim is to stimulate entrepreneurial mindset and creativity, reinforcing regional engagement and building on complementary strengths and cross-cultural collaborations. So the actions to reach these aims are these actions, that is building a roadmap for entrepreneurial university and establishing a network of staff and mentors. And then, and we come to this specific activity, building an engaged community challenge to build awareness on entrepreneurship, and a virtual company creation contest. An international soft landing for young entrepreneurs, which is why you're here. Then there is an European interns for small companies, and a socio-economic network. So this particular action, the ISLYE, that is the entrepreneurs' abilities, is addressed to students of all Arqus institutions who are interested in acquiring an international orientation and possibly entering a commercialization phase of the project. Of course, it's not closed to the others. This is what we would like to find, but of course, apply, and then we will see. The reasons to apply for this experience is, of course, to experience an intercultural approach to business, which is very important. I'm sure you're aware that there are cultural differences in approaching also in business, which can make a difference. The one approach could bring to a failure, or anyway make things much more difficult than they can be. Then you can get support to your project through international mentoring and coaching, which is also, of course, important. Having different points of view is always very important. It's an opportunity to meet startups and companies in a peer-to-peer logic, and it's important to develop your business network. Last but not least, all services and resources offered by partner incubators for the development of your internationalization, are free of cost, which is not bad. Of course, mobility is a different point. So this is more or less the timeline of this action. This webinar on business cultures that is taking place now and is open to all incubatees. Then there will be an application call where you can apply for the following part of this project. Then during summer, we will select your applications, and we hope with the beginning of September, December, we will be able to announce the selected entrepreneurs and start with the digital part of our program. And in 2021, hoping there are no surprises with our COVID fund, we will start the international mobility, of course, only for the selected startups. So this is all as an overview of the project and the university. For any contact regarding the project or the university, you can contact me. This is my email address. And of course, instead, for what regards especially the StartCube and the teaching experience and information on the mentoring and so on, of course, it will be Giulia Tura and the StartCube incubator. So I wish you a nice time here during this webinar, and the ground is yours again, Giulia.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much for this introduction. Okay. We are here to speak about Italian business culture. As I said before, we want to introduce you different point of view of our culture, but at the beginning it's important to focus on our scientific and technology park, that is the partner of University of Padua, that is Galileo. Galileo established in 1997 and is a company with a different shareholder. The first one is Chamber of Commerce of Padua. There is a bank foundation and also the University of Padua and some other private partners. We are a particular scientific park because we focus on 5 areas. The first one is education area. The second one is R&D materials area that is named as R&D Matec. There is a design area, also incubator, that the name is StartCube. And there is an area for social, so to support companies in have a better impact in the world. We don't have a lot of time, so I really go fast to the point. Galileo is the partner of the University of Padua in this project, but we have a specific goal we have a specific mission. The institutional mission is supported the competitiveness of the companies through professional services. We have a school, for example, a design school. For example, at the second year, our students work for startups. They give to students a brief, for example, to hack their product or to create a new identity, and it is a good opportunity for our startups. I'm really proud of this course because I'm the professor, so probably I'm not the good part, but there are also a lot of subjects that we study in Italian design school, in particular industrial design, visual design, multimedia, human science, and management. We are really proud to create this multidisciplinary approach because our students, after this school, have a really important employment rate. As I said before, we have a specific area focused on design, develops, and consulting. So we work on concept design for companies, and we help companies to find their good approach market. We have a specific division that works on innovative materials, in particular with MATEC. We provide consulting about new materials and technologies, but the particular of our division is that all materials are in a wide database, and these materials are ready to use. So our division for social, and at the end, but last but not least, the incubator. Our incubator was born in 2004, thanks to University of Padua, and we was born to support the startup that wanted to find their market opportunity, but also that wanted to validation their idea. Galileo is in Veneto. A lot of things in Padua in particular are named Galileo, as you said before, probably. We are in Veneto, and it is important to underline this location because the Veneto region is one of the most important Italian region for not only for innovation ecosystem, but also for manufacturing and other strategic sectors in Italy. In Italy now we have more than 11,000 startups, and around 20% have a founder under 35 years old. So here is a young entrepreneurs. We are in the top 4 list for top region in Italy for numbers of startups. And what I'd like to communicate in this short presentation is that since 2011, in Italy, we established a specific startup regulation. We share with you this presentation in which we find website and more details to receive more information about how to establish a startup in Italy or some specific incentive, for example. But in that case, in this specific Startup Act, there are 4 important incentives to young entrepreneurs. The first one is a robust tax incentive for investors. So there is a tax investor incentive for who decide to invest in your companies. There is a specific package for work for equity schemes and the work for equity occasion that is a typical way in which a startup can pay can pay some suppliers or some consulting, for example. And also there is some help in bank guarantees and in bank relationship. So also another important tools that government gives to startups is Italia Startup Visa. And it is important because a specific section of our Ministry of Economy Development, a specific measure to help foreign startup to establish in Italy. So in this website, you can find the process. It is really simple, but they can help you to establish here if you want. Okay, nice place for this sector. Why Italy is a nice place for this sector? Because we have some industries that are better than others, and in particular we are better than others in smart manufacturing, for example, food and beverage, as you know, fitness, or also in veterinary or pet economy, automotive, tourism, space economy, pharma, and biomed. These are really, we are really proud of these sectors. And to underline this point of view, I select some startups that in this period, in 2020, are in the phase of scale up. In particular, probably some of you also have already heard about Satispay, Bowser, or Supermercato 24, or for example, Musement. Musement is now international startups that help tourism, for example. You can book tickets for activities and attraction around the world. Or for example, the Orbit. The Orbit is the first in space transportation company providing solution for moving and deployment and removing satellites. So we have a specific skills in development these startup sectors. Love Design, obviously, is an Italian home design e-commerce platform that is now all over the world. Or, for example, My Menu is a delivery company. Wine is an online and wine club that provides to its members some typical wine from all over of region in Italy. And so, StartCube, what is our mission? Our mission is help future entrepreneurs or founded startup, well-founded startup to find their business in Italy, but not only in Italy. We help startup with our services to reduce the cost and the risk connected to the launch of a new business. Our key points, we have a long experience, we have a cross-contamination, and we are not focused on only one industry. I go really fast here because I prefer to focus on what we do. Our services are divided in different areas. We have a specific consulting focus on one-to-one meeting about business planning, for example, about pitch preparation for investor, about business modeling, and so on. We have some specific academy that we create on the need of our startup. So it is something similar to entrepreneurship training. We help our startups to create networking around Italy, and thanks to our partner. After my colleagues Cesar Arroyo describe better this point, we provide professional services, and also we have a designer inside, graphic, we have engineering and public finding research. We create a tool to help startups to understand better what our incubator can do. In particular, we create this card. We give this card at the beginning of incubation, and our startups can choose through around these services. These services are included in our incubation program, and I describe this cube card because also for Arqus startups, we think that could be interesting to use these consulting services. We have strategy services based on team organization, marketing plan, and business development. Financial, that we can help you to your business plan, cash flow, financial plan, and also with some investor relationship. Tax and legal, so about to protect our your intellectual property, or shareholder agreement, or how to establish in Italy as an innovative startup. We have brand identity, so we can design for you brand identity and your need, so special need, and we try to provide also something different from these several services. Before the foundation, before the constitution of a startup, we create a short process to pre-validation the idea. In particular, we analyze market opportunity, economic sustainability, and also team commitment. This is an really important part, because through, for example, focus group, survey, or some different tools, we find if the need that or the idea of the startup is really fit with the market that they want to target. Okay, we asked startups from different sectors, from biomed to fitness, from ICT to agri-food, and then we like to present you two specific case studies or two best cases that we wanted to show from our incubator, and at the end there is a specific keynote speaker from a spin-off of University of Padua. These are some of our startups. For example, we have startups that help companies to go around the world from your sofa. So directly from home, you can find your international partners. We have a blockchain solution for agri-food chain. We have an innovative cast, so you can tailor-made your cast with 3D print. For example, we have another university spin-off that provide pet supplements for home diet. So what I try to say you is we can provide consulting for several industry and for several types of teams. Because in this year we find we faced different challenges thanks to our startups. This is the teams. We are a complete teams from marketing to market research to design to materials to financial consulting. So we cover a lot of areas and a lot of specific needs for our startups. This is our motto. The idea isn't enough because the people are the key of success. For us, it is really important because startups are founded by people, and committed people probably also able to pivot the idea, the market, the goals. Okay, but we are in a specific Arqus project. So after the digital phase that Anna before described, you have the opportunity to come here. And for example, if you stay here 1 week, we can provide you, for example, 1 training day, and you can choose from strategy approach or design thinking activity. We provide you one-to-one consulting, and you can choose 2 of the topics that I present in the cube card. You have also obviously a space where to stay, a desk, and you can use our meeting room. Why is important meeting room? Because in the digital phase, also we find for you some partners in a university or business partners. And when you come here, this is the occasion to meet these partners. So if you stay here 1 week, you can the opportunity to meet our startups, obviously, but not only. You can receive tailor-made training day, specific one-to-one project review about the topics that you find in the cube card. You have a space, also a desk, and you can use meeting room. And obviously, if you come here, you have the opportunity to create networking. So thank you, everybody, and I give the floor to Cesar Arroyo, my colleague, that introduce you in another point of view, Italian culture or Italian beauty. Thanks.
Hello to everybody. A moment that I share the screen. Okay. Do you see the presentation? Okay. Hello to everybody. First of all, I would like to make my presentation in a non-institutional way by presenting the country, the industrial context, and the Galileo innovation ecosystem in a funny way as possible. So let's start. I begin introducing myself by telling about my experience here in Italy that started almost more than 20 years ago. So I'm Cesar Arroyo. I was born in Madrid, Spain in 1973. When I was 24, I decided to move here in Italy to study product design. And it was then that I discovered the true technical and creative reality of this country. 3 years later, I officially became a designer, and I started my professional career. I've worked with more than 100 companies in different sectors, from the communication to the fashion and the design of machinery of the industry. professor of Italian Design School, founder of Two People Design Studio, and Design and Innovation Manager in Galileo Visionary District. For over 20 years, in love with this wonderful profession and the country where I learned that talent is a matter of conviction and design is a state of mind. So my experience here in Italy showed me that its main value is fundamentally focuses on three directions that I will use for this presentation. I will try to answer a common question. So what does Made in Italy really mean? The art of well-being, genius loci. Multiplicity, one of the main assets, from big to small and medium enterprises. And a special talent for creativity, innovation. Everyone knows Italy is a beautiful country with excellent food, rich cultural heritage, and great artistry. But there is a lot more to the country than that. Italy is a meeting point between the excellence of food and wine, the depth of history, and its geographical diversity. This set of factors stimulate visions and projects that measure local potential on a global market. Italy has a long history of leadership and innovation and has been recognized as being a worldwide trendsetter and leader in design. Many of the most iconic fashion brands born here in Italy, such as Prada, Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, Armani, Valentino, Versace, and many others. Milan is the international reference point on design and is considered one of the top fashion capital in the world. And Rome, too. Italy has created and produced the greatest status symbol cars of the century, and its brand become icons all over the world, such as Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, or Alfa Romeo. Italy has long been Europe's second biggest manufacturing power. In fact, it's one of the 10 countries in the world boasting a manufacturing output above 500 billion. The Italian enterprises network is dotted with a huge variety of large, small, and medium-sized companies and represents a point of excellence in Europe in the sector of fashion, accessories, footwear, furniture, pharma and biomedical, mechanical, automation and motors companies, as well as being the first country in Europe due to the presence of a small artisans business. Italy has always stood out for its inventive ability and contributions to science through an infinite number of objects with a high global level impact. For Italian companies, innovation is a priority that allows to keep high the competitive level in the global market, and the small and medium enterprises is one of the most virtuous segments among them. Italy is also one of the main references for nanotechnologies, the production of highly specialized machines and transportation components. ASI, Italian Space Agency, over the last 20 years has become one of the most significant players in the world in space science, satellite technologies, and the development of mobile systems for exploring the universe. But why Galileo Visionary District? It's the non-profit digital innovation hub of Padua, whose aim is to facilitate and promote research, technology transfer, and innovation among companies by connecting the main local areas of innovation. Galileo is an Industry 4.0 certified technology transfer center and digital innovation hub. Its main strength lies in multidisciplinary and high technical skills. In fact, a large number of people and companies are involved around the different activities provided, but in the different areas of intervention, such as about 270 design and communication students per year at Scuola Italiana Design work on research projects assigned directly by Galileo's partnered companies. More than 150 incubated startups since 2004, with more than 90% success rate. More than 50 specialized consultants and 80 innovation managers bring their experience to Galileo, from training and teaching to specialized consultancy in technology, products, and processes. A huge network of partners and services companies support Galileo if necessary to resolve specific topics. And finally, we can count on 30 years of training, consulting, project development, and technology transfer projects on a huge number of application areas. It's also a hub that offers innovation services, including R&D projects and consulting, education, incubator, etc. Collaborates with local stakeholders in terms of innovation and Industry 4.0, Chamber of Commerce, University, Living Lab, Competence Center, etc. Guide the local companies to the right development direction throughout the innovation process. In addition, Galileo Visionary District accompanies small and medium enterprises in the definition and knowledge of their values by providing the necessary tools of strengthening and evolution within the competitive context to which they belong. Guide them in the planification of the new strategic actions of their development. But how Galileo works to help companies during the innovation process? Through Galileo R&D Design Division and Materials and Technology Division, and also by Italian Design School. Both R&D areas work together to develop technically the projects for the companies until production. The Italian Design School, born to contaminate, to think outside the box, and find alternative solutions and concepts through research projects. Our approach is to combine creativity and technology to support innovation process through different kinds of actions depending on the specific needs of each company. So, for example, the design division works in different areas. One, identification of the main values and the main features in order to optimize production cost, improving usability or functionality. Two, actions to identify or highlight the company communication values through connotative intervention or product brand language. 3. Context analysis, competitors, and benchmark mapping in order to identify the correct positioning of the product or brand on the market in relation to the values to be communicated. 4. Product concept proposals, applying an incremental innovation. 5. Definition of the product in every detail up to prototyping. And the last one, definition of the product of the production processes, engineering and industrialization. The R&D Materials and Technology divisions works in 4 different areas. The first one is contamination through materials to find potentially structural or aesthetic solutions through material storming. The second one is research and definition of the materials and technology able to respond to the identified needs, so technology transfer. The third one, verification of technical specifications of the identified materials and samples for the production. And the last one, a contact creation between companies and suppliers to define commercial specification and follow up until production. For 30 years, Galileo brings its creative and technological know-how to a huge number of companies. Often a project starts from communication needs, a technical or technological improvement, or even to create new reference points in the sector which each company operates. Small, medium, and large brands are united by the same wish: affirm its uniqueness and leadership on the market through winning products. We work on different fields of application, such as fashion, footwear and accessories, high specialization machinery for industries, furniture, lighting and home appliance, product and accessories for children, food and beverage, pharma and biomedical, design for fun, rides and attractions for amusement parks. I would like to tell you three different stories. The first one talk about the courage to change and how to understand the right moment to make it. Crowdfunding is an Italian leading producer of professional dishwasher for HoReCa market, hotels, bed and breakfast, hostels, restaurants, bar, bistro, etc. The reason that brought Crowdfunding to Galileo searching for innovation was to redesign the user interface and the door handle on the dishwasher machine. These implementations, in fact, had to be applied to the whole range of products, creating new standards. But often companies don't know clearly what means innovation. In fact, it's often mistook for small improvements to be made on an existing product in order to rationalize or reduce production cost by standardizing components. The problem of this approach is that often comes from a commercial need and it's solved with levity. Continuous changes to the product without a defined strategy end up completely destroying its identity. The beauty of functionality. The project was developed in two different directions. The first one is Stripe, where handle becomes the communicative element, giving to product elegance and sinuosity at the same time. The second one, the smoothing edges and integrating every detail of the project to give to the final result a mix of strength and elegance. Both projects were presented at the International Expo in Milan, boosting a company to look to the future with wider views. New machine interfaces, New machine interfaces open to a new user experience and let us to give to the project the most innovative feature. The power of observation. During a period of project development at the client headquarters, we observed that a third of their engineers commit 85% of the time during the day to respond to service calls. 95% of the problems were generated by incorrect washing settings, and the average duration of each call was up 10 or 15 minutes. Technical problems were always resolved by guiding the technician through the machine software to correct the settings. But however, these technical interventions generate an additional cost to the end consumer. This situation highlights a second big problem. It was related to, first, the collection of data useful for the improvement of the products, and second, the impossibility of having a direct contact with the end consumer to have it. In fact, this information was jealously guarded by the distributors. So what could we do to resolve these problems? Thanks to Galileo 4.0 industry and technology competences, through a simple implementation on the new machine interfaces, we connect all the sensors already present in the dishwasher directly with the crops technical services. This approach allows crops to prevent certain problems before they occur, reduce the number of technical interventions by over 70%, and decrease the average duration of each call to the customer services below 2 or 3 minutes. iCloud is a predictive system able to anticipate small failures and reporting them to the technical office, which will carry out the necessary checks and, if necessary, correct the system parameters. Finally, iCloud represents today for crops a unique system of real-time data collection and analysis of the real functioning of the product used in different conditions, avoiding unnecessary and expensive laboratory tests. The collected data are today the main source and most useful way for creating more efficient products to make consumers' life easier. The second story speaks of the desire to break the standards by facing a project in a radical way. Monfilioni Engineering is a member of TASI Group, the largest group in the world uniquely focused on leak testing, measurement and inspection. It is the worldwide leader in quality control solutions for all packaging requirements in pharmaceutical, metal can and aerosols, food and beverage, and chemical and personal care market. Redefine the rules of the visual inspection processes inside laboratories. It was the ambitious goal of the project committed by TASI Group through their engineering division company in Italy. The simplification of the processes and the improvement of the quality of life of people have always been the main asset behind every project sealed by Galileo. In a laboratory test, there are a large number of different machines to be able to perform the necessary sample test to guarantee the product quality of the company itself. Companies have always worked to increase their laboratories' visual inspection productivity machines by increasing the number of containers and the passage speed in front of the operator, while overlooking the fact that the operator is the weak point of the chain. User ability to concentrate in operations that required high attention for a long time is in fact a limit. They spend hours watching containers through a magnifying glass, helped only by lights positioned in front and behind containers to identify impurities or imperfections on cut closures or containers. Many companies and laboratories choose to increase the number of workstations and consequently specialized operator to carry out sample tests with a consequent waste of both human and economic resource. The future of visual inspection laboratory workstation is made by Bonfilioli Engineering through the project SAIL. Through artificial intelligence, the company has developed a system able to learn first from a specialized operator who teaches the system how to recognize all the possible lags found in a sample. SAIL is an automated inspection laboratory for different containers types, sites, and contents, based on artificial intelligence, suitable for in-process clinical trials or laboratory use. The system, after a period of collecting information, gradually becomes autonomous by performing up to 5 different types of tests: leak detection, automatic visual inspection of closures and container impurities, container closure integrity, and headspace gas analysis. In the end, the cobot optimized the inspection processes of several samples simultaneously. Using specific materials for the top of the desk, SAIL returned visual information about workstation status, which station is working on a test, and successfully results to the operator using LED light under this surface. At the same time, the surface guarantees the best performance on chemical attacks due to the type of substance tested in the pharmaceutical sector. Through a high-performance touch display, user can follow test process easily. So SAIL is an all-in-one Industry 4.0 based laboratory. It's an ergonomic workstation made to simplify intensive tasks, executes scientific and objective inspections thanks to its specific features, guarantees the 100% of traceability of all tests, and reduce cost and test execution time. With the last story, I want to talk about the power of a different point of view to approach a project. Alberto Del Biondi, a company founded in 1984, has now become one of the most important international reference points in the field of shoe and fashion accessories designs. Brands like Chanel, Tommy Hilfiger, Levi's, Calvin Klein, G-Star, The North Face, Eastpak, and many others rely to design giant for the development of their collections. Alberto Del Biondi collaborated for years with Galileo through the following services. The first one is Scuola Italiana Design, or Italian Design School, that has become a point of reference for the deconditioned vision of the project developed by students. The second one is MATEC, that collaborates with Alberto Del Biondi, searching for new materials and technologies to be transferred to the world of fashion and footwear. Go beyond that, you see. What could the world be like in 2050 is the project that we made for them. We have tried to understand where and how men will wear shoes in the future, riding the trend of the future 2024 Mars space missions. The secondary focuses of the project talk about sustainability and environment, a generation that make of travel a way of life, and a young brand that follow you through the adventure of life. We were inspired by visual science from cinema and science fiction literature. The analysis from the technical and aesthetic point of view of space suites in history, and how fashion today approach the theme of space. So thanks to the use of aerogel as a protective coating and sole structure combined with the biosuite developed by Dainese in collaboration with the European Space Agency, born the project Juice Ultra, an ultralight shoe extremely resistant to both thermal and mechanical stress, ready to make us live the future today. And in a very quick way, these are some of other examples. So why Galileo Visionary District? Again, because the Galileo Visionary District projects are multiple and fit on different industries, refer to companies operating in a traditional sector: agri-food, furniture, mechanics, fashion, eyewear, sports system, carousel production, etc., or innovative areas as the sustainable packaging or biomedical for digital health, working with high-tech companies and digital startups. Because Galileo Visionary District is a hub that interconnects the innovation network and creates opportunities to innovate at all levels by involving competence center, innovation hubs, startup, and every dimension companies. The way that Galileo Visionary District help companies to expand consists on follow companies through a strategy review using tools such as design thinking, the lean startup machine, the killer idea, etc., to make them understand its needs and to identify the correct pattern of innovative development. An operation program originated from the strategic plan at the previous point is drawn up and follow micro and small and medium enterprises through the innovation path, identifying the strategic plan. So I finish and I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you so much, Cesar, for these case studies and to explain better how Galileo can help a startup to find the right partner. I leave the floor to my colleague, Greta Giordano, that explain business culture in Italy. So I give her the floor.
So good morning to everyone. I'm Greta Giordano and I work in StartCube as a media and marketing assistant. Today, my presentation will focus on different topics. To begin, I will talk about Italian business culture from a sociological and cultural point of view. The second part, I will address the topic of the Veneto industrial districts. So we can talk about the opportunities in our region. So to begin, well, Italy has become a state nation in 1861. Due to its geographical position and history, it has always been characterized by numerous historical upheavals and cultural influences. Also, Italy is one of the founding members of the European Union and through time has contributed substantially to Europe's political integration. Historically, northern and southern Italy have reached different degrees of industrialization, where northern Italy has been always shown high levels of internationalization and also tech-driven development, while the southern Italy has always experienced a huge influence of the agricultural sector. Today, Italy's diverse economy relies on several different industries, which include machinery, pharmaceuticals, automotive, furniture, food, clothing, and robotics. but also the industrial overview of Italy shows a large ecosystem of small and medium enterprises, which give vivacity to its industrial ecosystem. Moreover, the Italian consumer base is generally known to be well-educated and discerning. For these reasons, both the Italian consumer base and small and medium enterprises today are looking for new products and services and are looking for international partners that can add value to their lives. Then we can talk about the Italian leadership and the leader profile. I would like to start this part with a quote from Adriano Olivetti, which was a famous entrepreneur and innovator. He said, "La fabbrica non può guadagnare solo all'indice dei profitti," which translates to a factory cannot earn solely from the index of its profits. We can interpret this quote as profits are not the most important thing in business. So what is considered more influential in a corporate environment in Italy? For example, loyalty, integrity, and devotion are some of the aspects which are considered hugely influential in a corporate environment. And Italians usually value these characteristics more than anything else. Talking about manager style, well, the common assumption is that Italian managers base their success on a relationship type business, and also they rely on their intuition. But which characteristics apply to an Italian leader? Well, there has been a survey conducted in 2017 by the Amsterdam University that has shown that diplomatic skills are considered to be essential for executives. Also, when selecting other leaders, experience on the field is valued over anything. And moreover, networking assets and a strong cultural background are also considered to be very important. Another peculiarity of the Italian manager style has to be his, let's say, adaptability. Usually in a multinational company, there's a difference in competencies between executive managers and middle-level managers. In Italy, we have a lot of small and medium enterprises, so usually the manager has to have competencies from the executive world and the middle-level manager world, because usually he or she is the only leader in the company and often also the owner of the company. So the most important characteristics for an Italian leader are efficiency, orientation, planning, empathy, and group management, but also oral communication, use of concepts, system thinking, and pattern recognition. One example for what Italians consider to be important in a leader profile can be found in the reading of The Prince, which is one of the most famous books about political theory in Italy. It was written between 1513 and 1514 by Niccolò Machiavelli, which was a famous political theorist. And today, The Prince is still one of the most read books about leadership among Italian politicians, managers, and businessmen. What is more important about this book is that there is a listing of the qualities that a leader should have. Among them, there's like honor, glory, audacity, and there are described a list of situations where these virtues need to be applied. Also, the famous quote by this reading, "The end justifies the means," is famous all over the world and has been quoted by a large numbers of politicians, which also sometimes misquoted it. In general, talking about relationship, Italian leaders love to have a personal relationship with their colleagues. Also, they will focus mainly on your product, on your service, and on your project. But you have to keep in mind that personal relationship can play a big role. For example, when you give your word about anything, you should adhere to that, because otherwise, if you do not follow your commitment, this can mean the end and can destroy the business relationship. Also, usually Italian leaders are expected to give instructions to their colleagues and look in control, but also they have to respect and consider their colleagues' thoughts, ideas, research, and work. According to a famous Italian sociologist, Luciano Gallino, there are three kinds of leadership style in Italian organization. The first one is the integrative manager, which is typical of an agricultural society and generally against all types of change. So his or her famous quote could be, "If it's not broken, don't fix it." The second one is the acquisitive manager, which is typical of take-off businesses, startups, and businesses with high technological level. And her or his quote could be, "Chase the vision, not the money." The third type is the adaptable manager. He or she is sort of a transformer, and his or her quotes is, "Management is above all a practice where art, science, and craft meet." Usually the adaptable manager is completely integrated into the system and can adapt to different situations. Talking about business culture and power distance in Italy. Well, in Italy, all relationships revolve about hierarchy. But in the organizations, a democratic managing style is always to be considered preferable. So limits are set. We can talk about them, but it always happens in the work environment. Also, usually in Italian organization, a certain degree of flexibility is always required. Clearly, power distance in Italy differs depending on the type of the environment and the size of the enterprise. Gert Hofstede, which is a famous psychologist, found a difference in power distance between northern and southern Italy. And he talked about this in his studies. And he describes northern Italy to be less centralized and to have a preference for the centralization of power and decision making. Also, northern young entrepreneurs and workers do not like to be controlled by leaders, managers, or executives. On the other hand, in southern Italy, it's quite the opposite. On the Hofstede website, there's an interesting tool called country comparison. You can measure different type of indexes. For example, I put power distance, individualism, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence, and compare your country to other countries. The interesting data about power distance is that, for example, with our neighbors, let's say France, Germany, and Spain, we have a medium level of power distance index. On the contrary, for example, with Austria and Norway, we have different visions about power distance and also other characteristics. There's another vision which has to be considered talking about power distance, and I would like to express it through a thought by Eugenio Aringhieri, which was a CEO in the pharmaceutical sector. Eugenio Aringhieri didn't think that leadership style depended on national context, but he thought that the leadership style reflected the requirements of a specific project and the historical stage of development of a company. So in a static environment, the style of the leadership will probably be conservative, and on the contrary, in a disruptive context, such as the startup ecosystem, it is usually led by change and evolution. Talking about business meetings and business meeting rules in Italy, we can say that usually during business meetings in Italy, it is common to express open disagreement and constructive conflict. So you don't have to be afraid to speak your mind. Also, meetings usually are more analysis-oriented than decision-oriented. Also, we should say that initial meetings are usually set to get to know more your colleagues or your partner. So do not expect meetings to be super fast and super decision-oriented. Also, some simple rules when conversing with Italians. Italians love contact, personal contact, and also, of course, now we cannot touch each other, but we still appreciate hand gestures and communication, eye contact, a feeling of trust. So it is said that Italian managers usually trust their guts, and also something that is common and it is liked by Italian workers is to share small talks such as sports, music, cinema, and the weather, whatever. They like to talk about these topics, also to get to know you more. On the other hand, there are certain behaviors that should be avoided. For example, distance between people, except for this personal, particular situation, usually is seen as rude or unpolite. Also, when being in a meeting with Italian colleagues, you shouldn't check your watch or communicate urgency, because these can be interpreted as a sign of rudeness or weakness. Also, family and personal questions are considered to be private topics, and the same applies to politics. Unless you would like to get into a fight with Italians, you shouldn't mention politics. Finally, some information for the speaking of foreign languages in Italy. We should say that Italians mostly speak Italian. So between the most spoken foreign languages, we have English, usually at a basic level, but in young businesses and with the young people, it is always generally well spoken. German, usually spoken in the Northeast, and also French, which is more common among middle-aged and elderly people. Now some useful information for getting to meet and have a business meeting with Italian people. So first of all, a typical week's working hours is from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. from Monday to Friday. Summer holidays are usually taken during August, but also they can be taken in July, June, or September. So make sure you check before you contact Italian people. And during the summer, especially in August, most large industries are closed. Also, the period between Christmas, New Year's Day, and Epiphany is characterized by reduced business activities. Now I would like to introduce the second part of my presentation with a focus on Veneto, which is our region, and which is called the Land of Marvels. In Veneto, there is a high concentration of productive specialization of the manufacturing section. For this part, the source is the statistic report of the region of Veneto 2019. In this report, it is shown that the real contribution for the Veneto is linked to the local component, namely the autonomous growth capacity of the area. Also, in Veneto, there are other factors, local factors, and which are difficult to identify and measure. And also, there's quite a vivacity in the difference of the multiple and diverse small and medium enterprises of the territory. One specific peculiarity of Veneto is that there are many industrial districts. Industrial districts constitute a primary form of aggregation between enterprises, and it has been found by research by Porter and Krugman that the grouping of interrelated small and medium enterprises in one locale stimulates innovation and drives productivity. The characterizing elements for a district to be recognized as such are the concentration of manufacturing enterprises, the territoriality, the historicity, and their competitiveness, both on a national and international level. As today, we have in Veneto, we count 15 industrial districts. We can now see one by one, very fast. The first one is the footwear and shoemaking district in near Venice. We have the artistic ceramic district near Vicenza, the air conditioning and refrigeration district in Padua, the Prosecco winery, one of the most famous worldwide in Treviso, the district of household appliances in Treviso, the district of amusement park rides in Rovigo, the fishing industry in Rovigo and Venice, the district of wooden furniture in Treviso, the district for marble and stone in Verona, the mechanical industry in Vicenza, the district of furniture, Verona again, one of the most famous districts, the eyewear district in Belluno. Another famous one is the gold and jewelry industrial district in Vicenza, the leather district in Vicenza, the sport system district in Treviso, another famous one, the artistic glass district in Murano near Venice, winery in Verona. So with all these different industrial districts and small and medium enterprises, what are Veneto's enterprises looking for? Going back to the statistic report of 2019, something which I would like to underline is that companies in Veneto have expressed difficulties in recruiting some kind of professional figures. This is not important for us, of course, but shows some of the trends in the Italian and in particular Venetian companies. For example, the search for professional figure in the ICT sector shows a desire for innovation and digital culture. Also, on the other hand, they look for linguistics and interpreters. So an attention for internationalization and for foreign countries is quite evident. The main trends that emerge from the statistic reports are sustainability, social and environmental, the search for innovation and digital culture. But the most interesting one that emerges is the balance between craftsmanship and technologies. We can say that artisanal and traditional enterprises are looking to innovate and to build a new partnership with companies with high technology levels. So one main target for small and medium enterprises in Veneto is to give space to new sectors. So starting from tradition, but going beyond. So Veneto is waiting for you. And are you in? Thank you for your attention. And good morning.
Thank you, Greta. Thank you so much. So we are a particular nation. There are some differences, but also something similar to the other European country. Now I'm looking for Fiore. Okay, Francesco Fiore, here you are. Okay, Francesco Fiore has in charge to present two of our startups, Noima and Ezeta Lab. And these two startups are incubated in StartCube, and I give the floor to Francesco to present these two businesses.
Hello, hi everybody. Thank you, Julia. Perhaps if you can allow me to show some slides. Okay, just one moment. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, we see the presentation.
Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Francesco Fiore. I'm a business development for Ezeta Lab. This is a company incubated in Galileo and StartCube since 2015. I would like to give you a focus about this company and later on about Noima, which is the sister company, I would say, of Ezeta Lab. Since this is, I believe, a story of success also for the incubator. Ezeta Lab is dealing with the technology of blockchain and particularly the technology of blockchain applied to agri-food industry. So we develop a blockchain solution to guarantee the traceability and the certification of origin of agri-food products. The company therefore started in the field of precision farming by doing the so-called paper of a farmer, which is something that is compulsory for every farmer to keep track of every treatment that they have given to the soil. That was about 5 years ago. But after that, since this was a sort of, okay, digital service, but a sort of a low value service, Massimo Morbiato, who is the founder and the owner of the company, thought about applying for the first time worldwide the blockchain to the agri-food. So in 2016, actually, you can see here a pumpkin, because this was actually the first product worldwide to be tracked using blockchain, and it was shown in an Italian fair in 2016. From then on, yeah, ESET Lab developed quite a name in Italy and abroad as a reliable company for developing blockchain in agri-food. And since then, the company has developed more than 40 products, 40 projects, and today is probably one of the main, in terms of turnover generator, company to apply blockchain in agri-food. Now the company is about having a phase 2. Since really the last week we ended a crowdfunding campaign, which was very successful, even if it was carried on during a very tough period, which was the lockdown period. So this crowdfunding campaign we based on the Italian crowdfunding portal, which name is Mama Crowd, started end of February, really at the very beginning of the lockdown, and it was it lasted last week, last Monday. With this campaign, ESET Lab was able to raise about 770,000 euros, which probably, which for sure is the highest crowdfunding in Italy for sure, and probably even in Europe for a blockchain company so far. And now we are in the process to reorganize the company to invest this sum. The business plan that will be funded by this crowdfunding, in fact, will help ESET Lab to grow in the agri-food, where the company is quite well established. I will show you later on some references there, but also will help the company to open up the application of blockchain in other fields. The plan now is to open 7 different joint ventures, vertical, to develop a blockchain solution in other fields, such as energy, real estate, healthcare, logistics and supply chain. Probably this will be the main ones. The first of those joint ventures has already been established. Right, yesterday there was a press article in the Italian business newspaper Sole 24 Ore, which cited the new company, which name is Relabs. Re stands for real estate, so it's a Relabs blockchain for real estate. ESET Lab established this company 50-50 joint venture with a Roman companies, which name is Reinventi, which story is to deliver services and informatics services to the main Italian private and public real estate funds. The rationale to do a vertical joint venture to apply blockchain in the different fields is that blockchain is a sort of enabling technology. So the potential of application of blockchain is virtually every single market segment. But a pure blockchain company might not have all the know-how needed to develop a solution in every single field. As a matter of fact, in the agri-food, the success of ESET Lab derived also from the fact that the team has put together, of course, a blockchain developer, of course, marketing people and storytelling people, but also agronomists, because to deal with blockchain in agri-food, you need to speak the same language of your customer, which mainly are farmers and agri-food company, and therefore in the team we hired agronomists. This worked very well, because that was the one of key factor of success for ESET Lab, and therefore now we cannot evidently enter energy segment by hiring people expert in energy, or real estate segment by hiring people expert in real estate, and so on. So the strategy was really to partner with already established companies in every single field, and merge together the competencies to develop the new disruptive business model that blockchain can allow in the different field. Here you can see basically the how the AgriOpen Data, which is the open data platform that ISLYE developed 4 years ago for agri-food. AgriOpen Data basically it's a blockchain platform which is able to collect information from the green field, so from the cultivation. We can collect the data from water consumption, the pesticides treatment, the temperature in the environment, the fertilizer, the herbicides, and so on, and move on all this information by certifying the most important of them, blockchain. As you might know, blockchain is a technology that make a certain data immutable over time. So once you certified a data in a blockchain, this data is transparent, cannot be modified in the future, and therefore gives more credibility to the data that a certain company want to provide to the market. So this platform then can collect also the data all along the value chain concerning the harvesting, the storage, the packaging, and down to the retail and the GDO, down to the final customer. And this has been applied in several, here you can see the blockchain code, but I definitely don't want to go too much in detail about the technology. Basically, this helps agri-food company to give a credible story, a trustable story about their product, because they can, through a QR code, tell directly the end user about where, in case of strawberries, you see here the picture, the strawberry was grown, what specific field was the origin of those strawberries, what kind of treatments they have undertaken, who was the storage and the package maker, how much time it takes to get down to the market, for example, and also we can, if you want, to certify the water footprint, the carbon footprint, the ethic, I would say, and work and social parameters behind a product. And all of that given to the final customer can add value to the products. We used to say that, I will move on. Here you can see, for example, an application for hemp, organic hemp, or you can see we have carried on different applications in wine. We used to say that before blockchain, a wine producer was selling a bottle of wine. Now that producer sell a bottle of wine plus data. And those data over time will generate more and more value and probably also new revenue streams for that product. So the blockchain allows in the agri-food, but also in the other field I mentioned before, the potential to develop disruptive new business model. This is ISLYE, of course, starting from Padua. Okay, this is again another references. I don't want to go too much over them, but we are applying blockchain on the 5G in an experimental project with Wind3 companies in L'Aquila. Basically, our platform gathers data from drones that are flying over saffron fields. L'Aquila is very famous for saffron, and collects all this data. And one of the nodes for the blockchain network is the Italian ministry to give more credibility also to the data gathered. This is one example of partnership with Wind3 of ISLYE, but this is a company already known worldwide because it was one of the very first to apply blockchain in agri-food. For example, we have a representation office in California inside the Thrive incubator, which is the main probably incubator for agri-food tech worldwide. And after the crowdfunding campaign, we will probably launch a subsidiary in the United States starting from that. So also we have as you can see, San Francisco because of that reason. But we are opening a subsidiary in France, where the French government subsidized the opening of an office for ISLYE in Reims, which is the capital of the Champagne region, because they want to bring blockchain technology for the traceability of champagne and other prestigious French products. I will move also to the other company, which is Neuma, which is the sister company of ISLYE. Of course, ISLYE now has a huge potential of growth, because every single new joint venture has the potential to replicate the success of ISLYE in agri-food. So the business plan will be more and more ambitious. You can consider that with the crowdfunding, more than 350 new investors joined the company. Small ones, very small ones, but even medium and large ones. And those 350 investors, which can be manager, can be entrepreneur, can be passionate for agri-food or for blockchain, will now constitute a sort of community around ISLYE. And quite some of them has already started to send to ISLYE new opportunities, or has already started to share in the social the news and the contents provided by the ISLYE. So we believe that the crowdfunding will give a boost to ISLYE, not only because of the funds raised, but because of the new business opportunities that the new investor will bring to the company. Neuma, inside of this, is a company which partly is supporting ISLYE in the marketing and in the storytelling activity. But also, again, it's another innovative startup, is specialized in web reputation and risk management. So we basically, or Neuma basically, give its customer the capability to monitor on the web the sentiment and the reputation of a certain company, by also using big data, and by using also blockchain to make sure the certification of those data, and is able therefore to provide the customer the possibility to recover reputation in case in the social there is bad news or bad sentiment which is starting to go around. The team of Neuma is about 6 people there, and inside Neuma we are also developing some specific application of blockchain, such as you can see the CERT blockchain certification. This is a platform developed by ISLYE, but now owned and managed from a commercial point of view by Neuma, which enable artists to certify blockchain their piece of art. This is to fight against plagiarism, for example, and to help artists, especially young artists or not so famous and not so established artists, to protect their creativity. You might know that going to the notary to protect a piece of art can be quite expensive. Not everybody can afford for that. And therefore, having a blockchain platform can allow artists to protect their piece of art with a low budget also capability. I don't know exactly how much time I have, so perhaps the
time is finished.
Okay, so I would stop here, and in case I will be happy to answer as they arise, but I give back the ball to Julia, I believe. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you so much, Francesco. As you've seen, we have decided to present not only Italian culture, but Italian culture through our companies, through our network, and to conclude this webinar, we have the last speaker, last but not least. The name is Alessandra Leonardi, and sorry, Francesco, could you stop to share your screen? Thank you. The next speaker and the last speaker is Alessandra Leonardi. Etifor, his company, probably we can't call Etifor a startup, not now, but as at the beginning they have started their business as a startup, and now he wanted to focus his speech in one important topic, business culture. So I leave the ball to Alessandro, and
Great.
Good.
Great, thank you, Giulia, for the introduction. Do you hear me? First of all, yeah, great. So I'm gonna share the screen. Hopefully you're gonna be able to stand the last minutes of the today's presentation. So I'll try to be brief because we have at least 10 minutes. And so when Giulia asked me to provide my contribution to this conference, I thought that more than talking about my business, that probably is not really interesting for you, was more interesting to talk about corporate cultures and what we do to keep the corporate culture within Etifor. So my presentation will focus briefly introducing Etifor, and then talking about the topic of corporate culture as a management tool of a company, and especially for startup and small companies. And finally, providing you with some example that we use in Etifor. Briefly, so we are a kind of a consultancy, research and development company that has the main mission to restore the balance between humans and natural resources. Nowadays, you all see the importance of dealing with climate change and biodiversity issues and so on. So what we do is basically developing projects, investment policies that improve the value of nature through combining science, innovation, and governance features. So to give you some example, we work in local development projects. So in order to help public administrations and rural areas to cope with development and environment issues. Then we help also natural protected areas around the world to improve their management and economic sustainability. And finally, we also help private companies that are dealing with natural resources related commodities such as coffee, timbers, and so on. So by providing and advising them with innovative projects and sustainable supply chain management. So our clients briefly are really diversified. So we go from international institutions and donors such as World Bank, FAO, European Commission, with Italian public bodies, but also national governments in Asia, Africa, and private companies, mainly Italian multinational companies, and also NGOs, environmental NGOs worldwide. So we're a researcher, innovator, and communicator. So we did a mix of stuff, as also as that lab was presenting before. We were able to mix researcher with marketing expert and communicator. And we were quite successful in bringing our business model around the world. So we have completed almost 300 projects in 43 countries. We're still based in Padua, since when we have to carry out a project abroad, we also hire local consultant, and then we deliver the work locally. So this was a brief introduction to let you know what is our business sector. But then I move into the topic of the presentation, which is corporate culture as a management tool. So one of the basic that we start to think about was the difference between organizational culture, identity, and image. The culture is what you define your company, so the mission, the value, the belief of the company. So what you would like to be. The identity is actually what the people inside the company feels, which might be different from what the company would like to be. And finally, the And finally, the organizational image. So how the company is perceived outside from external people. And so why corporate culture? Because we live in a world that is really uncertain, complex. And so it's impossible to build success in corporate without having entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is defined as the way to transform your employees, your staff, in small entrepreneurs that act within a company as innovator and bringing new ideas, being passionate about the company. So the corporate culture becomes a main instrument to manage companies in order to have staff that becomes like the main entrepreneur of the company. And also this has to do with the shared management, with the transforming an hierarchical based company to a network based company. So what we can see from the trends is that most of the companies cut freedom as they get bigger. So the more employees you have, the more control instrument you have to put in place, and therefore the freedom of employees is becoming lower. And another phenomenon is that the more the company grows and the complexity increase, and therefore more procedures and bureaucracy is set in the companies, and these lead also to decreasing the performance of employees. And so how can we avoid these two main trends? Well, there is a lot of, let's say, theories and also books that talk about corporate culture, which means also starting to make a shift into the mindset of the organization. So moving the mindset, which was the company is made for making profit, to the company is made to fulfill a purpose, a value purpose, which might be a social or environmental purpose. Moving the company based on hierarchies to networks. So instead of working on a very vertical structure with a lot of managers, senior managers, and so on, creating small teams that works as small startups within the company, and moving from controlling, so a lot of procedures, bureaucracies, to empowering. So providing capacity building to staff, so in order to let them to make the right choice instead of telling them what to do and how to do. And also moving from the culture of planning, so long-term planning, to experimentation. So again, moving to the old style company to the startup model, let's say. And also moving from the privacy concept, where basically most of the information within the company is kept to the board of directors, moving to transparency, where all the information is shared with the employees. And so now I pass to example of tools that we set in Etifor to manage the corporate culture. We started several years ago with the ethical management system, where through a participatory process, we define the values of the company. So together with the employees, shareholders, key stakeholders, we define the values, we define who are our stakeholders, and we create an action plan that you can find also on the link. The action plan sets key action and say what we have to do in the next year and the years later, and so on. So it's a very simple plan, but at least annually it's reviewed, and we provide us with a sort of step-by-step process to achieve certain values and objectives. We also cooperate with several membership and quality systems. So these are international network or national networks that allow us to share our values and also to see how other companies are dealing with the environmental and social responsibility. For example, we support the UN Global Compact and the Global Sustainable Tourism Council, the Forest Stewardship Council, the Forum for Sustainable Finance, and so on. So these membership and networks are useful to have a broader perspective and show also that your performance are in line with international standards and so on. We had set a people, grow, and well-being strategy. These are the key points. Obviously, I'm not going to explain the details, but of course, we have a values and capacity building plan, a smart working and telework plan, because nowadays having a workplace that adopt smart work and telework is also more appealing to a young generation. We have a welfare plan where we put some resources, so money to each staff to invest on sport activity, cultures, activities, and so on. We have a contract levels and salary strategy in order to show people that within time, they will also increase their salary, the compensation levels, and of course also a premiums strategy. And finally, something that we set like 2 years ago, we follow some guidelines about employer branding. What is employer branding? So employer branding is a sort of a strategy that allow your company to sell the company to employer, to potential candidates. And this is useful to attract talents, and talents are the main resources for a company to grow. Of course, this employer branding was based in putting the mission and the value first. Talent people, they don't want more money. Yes, money, it's a part of the package, but most likely they're looking for joining a company to fulfill a mission, to be in line with their own values and so on. And so when we look for new staff, we always put in the job offer what we offer in terms of corporate culture, what we offer in terms of achieving a mission together, and so on. So the question is how to set an employer branding. Well, follow any guidelines that you find online. But first of all, ask yourself why someone should work for you, and make sure that it is clear from the application process. So if you want to have a look to the application process in Etifor, this is an example, very simple. And this is also, in line with the application process and documents. Another example of tools that we use within Etifor is that I'm the CEO of the company, but I don't do a lot of planning. I don't do a lot of business plan. Actually, I use WeTot, which is a cloud-based management software for the company, where all the employees are making the business plan and the planning of the company. All employees are managing projects, and by the sum of these projects, we create the business plan of the company on an annual basis. So this is a new technology. It's provided by H-Farm here in Treviso in Veneto region. And it's an example of shared and open management. All employees have access to all data, so they know daily what is the profit, what is the sales, what is the income, what is the forecast for next years, and so on. So they can see if the company is going well or not, and so on. So actually, my work as a CEO has decreased a lot for this software, because my employees are doing the work that I should be doing. So this is an example of how shared management, of course, together with capacity building of the staff, can also be successful, and give to the employees also the responsibility of managing one piece of the company. So at the same time, they become also smaller CEOs. And finally, very important is this kind of brain days. Brain days is where once or twice a year, we retire the company in usually mountain areas or nature areas and so on. And we set 1-2 days of a lot of thinking, strategy to decide together where the company wants to go, what we have to change, other management practice that we want to bring on, other corporate culture values, and so on. Any ideas that the staff want to bring to the board is brought to the table, and it's discussed and it's put into strategy plans, Gantt chart, very simple list of activities that we have to fulfill and achieve within the year. And then also sometimes we just need not team building, but just spend time together, especially in time of COVID. So for example, last week we did like a nature day, so a complete day without doing nothing, without thinking about the business, but just enjoy ourselves, swimming on a river, doing kayak, and so on. So this is very important, because all the people that we hire, they usually love nature, and so this increase the team building and sometimes the relationship, and how they feel the company, and they are proud of our company. So that is my presentation, very brief, but I hope that it was useful to let you this curiosity about which is your corporate culture strategy, and think about this since the beginning, because a startup is about growing and about embarking new people and key staff within the company. If you want to grow, you need talents, and therefore you need a corporate culture. So thank you. If you have a question, I'm here.
Thank you so much, Alessandro. Why we wanted to finish with this topic? Because for a startup, people and engaging people is one of the most important tasks. The success of startups is related on the people that form this startup, this company. So it is really, really important to create a good place to work, good place to exchange ideas, because this is the only way to grow up. We have finished time, so thanks to all speakers. It is really, really interesting to listen all of you. Thanks to our startup and also to Alessandro. And to our audience of today, I say that if you decided to apply to our incubator, you can find not only business partner, not only skills, but also business development, tailor-made consulting, and obviously our beautiful country. So in chat, I write down I type the mail if you need some details or other information. So if you want more details, you can send an email to Greta Giordano or to me, Giulia Turra. But if you want more information about Arqus or application form or the digital phase, you can write directly to Smita, that is the coordinator of this part. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.